Our days mostly consist of a lot of habits. We wake up at the same time, we eat the same breakfast, we go to our same job, day after day after day. And it's no wonder that we look back over our years and wonder where they went. So this got me thinking, it's like, okay, that's not good. What is missing? What are we missing here? What I found for myself a little while ago, also other people that I've talked to, is passion. Passion is missing. Passion is the excitement and the zeal we use to throw ourselves into our craft. You know, it's the musician as he's composing. It's the painter at his canvas, the glint in their eye and just that energy there. They're totally absorbed. That's really cool. Like you can see them and you can see that passion in their eye. So how do we get that? How do we develop that? So for the last little while here, I've developed a practice of digging deeper into what I'm most excited about and what I'm most passionate about and what matters to me, and you know, exploring more of that, pulling it out and expanding it and dwelling there, and just the incredible amount of zeal and excitement that comes from that is truly incredible. And so I want to share that with you and show you how you can find that and find those intersections of excitement and zeal and get that energy. And I'm sure you've heard this, but whether you're pursuing, you know, goals, passions, dreams, whatever, you've probably been told, you know, oh, you can't hit a target you can't see. And I'm guilty of saying that, but that can be really, really frustrating if you don't know where you're going. It's like you're waiting for this one thing to just like jump out at you and it's like, boom, that's it. But that's not the correct way of looking at it. So to illustrate my point and help you remember this a whole lot better, let me share a story with you. There was once a group of scientists who went out to study zebras. The problem was that they couldn't like single one out to study because when they would release it back to the herd, they all looked the same and they couldn't find it again. So they came up with this brilliant idea. They captured one and put a big red X on the side of it. That way they could distinguish it apart. They could find it. Problem solved. Except it wasn't, because that one would routinely disappear, like almost right away. And what the researchers found is that by doing this, they were completely removing the, you know, safety in numbers for this poor guy, because they were basically drawing a big giant, like, attack me, you know, target on the X. And so then a lion, you know, could run that one down because it had something to lock onto, and it would track with it and it didn't get lost in the herd. Whereas when there was no mark, then, you know, there was so much chaos and the lion couldn't just lock onto a target and stick with one. And so it would end up getting worn out and tired after chasing this one and after chasing this one, and then it would just stop. So I remember hearing this story as gospel truth, but on researching it, I couldn't find it anywhere. So we're just gonna call it an analogy just for the sake of safety. So you and I are lions. Obviously, who doesn't want to be a lion? The herd of zebras represents the things that we are chasing in life. These are the things that interest us. These are the things that, you know, we're intrigued about. Our goals and dreams and aspirations in life. For me, some of mine are, you know, to become self-sustaining on YouTube, to turn this into a business someday, to become a better volleyball player, or, you know, to positively impact the people around me, you know, stuff like that. When we're chasing this herd of stuff that we really want to catch, it can feel really awesome because we're running in the right direction, we're going for it. But the problem is that sometimes our attention can get fragmented because there's too many things that we're chasing. It can end up wearing us down and we actually don't get any of them. We chase one over here and then another one pops up, so we chase it over here and then another one over there, and you just go back and forth and we end up not getting any of them. We solve this by drawing a target on what we want to catch, but I'm getting ahead of myself. First, we need a herd of things to chase after. So remember that, you know, as the lion in this analogy, we go out to find the herd. We don't wait for the herd to come to us. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. Grab a notebook and a pen, and then find somewhere awesome. You guys didn't know this, but this right here, this was my nook. And I would come up here all the time. I would sit here and read, and it was great because it could be hot out here, and so it'd be warm, like off the shingles, but yet nice and cool inside of there. Oh, I'm bigger than last time I was in here. Okay, so now that we've found somewhere awesome, we want to write down 25 things that we are curious about. And these are things that
Oh, the audio is amazing in here. Echo. These are things that you would want to, spend a weekend researching. Think of a weekend that you don't have anything going, no obligations. What would you do with that weekend? What would you research? What would you watch videos about? What would you read articles and books about? Who would you talk to? What activities would you go do? Things like that. Things that you would do if you had the spare time to do them. So after doing this for a little while, what I found is the first 10 came pretty easy. It was pretty quick. It was like, oh yeah, I'd love to do this. After that, it got a little bit more difficult, and I only got to 21. I wasn't able to get 25, but I plan on revisiting this and whatnot, because I'm sure as I go, stuff will continue to pop into my head and I'll find more stuff. So I would kind of suggest same thing for you. If you don't get all 25 at once, it's that's fine. Or if you have 40, that's even better. And keep in mind that specificity is really critical. So instead of writing, food, animal, exercise, write down stuff like, food that's easy and quick to prepare, or, how to end animal cruelty, or, muscle mass growth. So here's some of the ones that I've come up with. So I wrote down the main word for it and then kind of my description of it. So the first one is neurology. So how our brains function and affect life. Now, keep in mind, these aren't exact definitions. These are just how I'm choosing to interpret them, so I know what I want to research. So neurology, behavioral science, neurolinguistic programming, NLP, mastering my communication with myself. Our thoughts, everything that we do or process, our emotions, all that stuff is essentially us communicating with ourselves. So when we learn to master that, we gain emotional maturity and we get, okay, anyway. Trauma and its impacts on the brain. EMDR therapy would be an aspect of that. Video work, telling a story, communicating a message, flow, living in peak performance mentally and physically. Emotional maturity, communicating, processing, controlling emotions, things like that. Playing volleyball, getting better at that sport. I'm not gonna read all of them, but those are just some of the ones that I have, some of the ones that I've come up with, and I'm sure I'm gonna come up with even more as I go. And as much fun as it is to sit in here, my back is about to break in half. So give me a second here. See what I mean? This is tight, man. Well, that looks safe.
Okay, so now that we've heard of things that we are chasing, it's time to draw some targets. Look for places where these curiosities overlap. We want to kind of stack them on top of each other. So for example, some of mine would be the intersection of being the youngest child. How does that affect someone? Introverted versus extroverted, what are the differences and how do they present themselves? And Enneagram number, personality types. So it's okay, that's pretty easy to research and really interesting, is how do these intersections overlap? So does the youngest child have a specific common trait of, most of them are a certain personality type, or most of them are introverted or extroverted, or there's tons of intersections here, and it's just so much fun to research, and I found some really, really cool stuff. Another one is flow, breath, and volleyball. Those are three things that I'm very interested in and I'm curious about growing more in. So it's okay, how can I use breath to trigger the sense of flow or being perfectly in the zone to help me play volleyball better? There's another intersection. And for me personally, I've got intersections with 4 or 5 in them just because a lot of these overlap, which is awesome. It's even more to look into. So what I did is I opened a Notion template and just wrote down all of the curiosities that intersected, and each gave them each a page so that I can do research and put it all inside of there. That way they're all cataloged and easy to find, easy to reference, and so forth. So now what we want to do is we want to take a little bit of time each day to specifically learn more about these topics. And if at any point this feels overwhelming or oh, it's just so much work, it shouldn't feel like that. If it's that, then it probably means you haven't picked things that you're actually curious about. Things that you're interested in, because these should be things that you enjoy doing, that you look forward to, it's in an hour, then I get to take half an hour break and research this. That should get you excited. And if it doesn't, then that probably means you haven't dug deep enough into these. And it's really important that we take this slow. When I first started doing this, I was give me 3 hours, man, I'm all in. This is gonna be great. But it's actually more important that we take this slow, that we take it at a slow pace. This is more of a long haul, and we want to have a slow burn. We want to give ourselves plenty of time to digest these things. What I love doing is taking 30 minutes a day, usually right before I go to bed. So I'll like get ready for bed, all the day is done, all the work is done, all the stress is, that's gonna wait till tomorrow. I have nothing else to do. And I just take that time right before bed to just like, let me learn something new. Let me read about my curiosity intersections. And I just find that so enjoyable because it's at the end of the day. And then I usually just like lay there in bed and like think about it even more. I'm like, oh, I could do this or I could go down there. And then I sleep on it, which is really good because sleep is a really good incubation period where your subconscious, which is like really good at pattern recognition, will begin to link these things that you've been learning and store them away. When you sleep, that's when your memory is consolidated. And what you'll see is that a lot of your passions lie at these intersections. And that's why this is like seriously one of the most important practices of my day, because it allows me to define where I am going based off what I'm interested in and what's important to me versus letting someone else dictate where they think I should go. And that's really huge because if you find yourself being very dissatisfied in life, then it could be not universal, but it could be that you're following someone else's agenda and not your own. Passion is fuel for our fire. It keeps us going when we're exhausted. It defines a lot of our behavior and how we act. And you'll find some really interesting things here at these curiosity intersections. So what you'll find is that when you stack these curiosities correctly, you'll find some intense energy there. But more importantly, you'll determine what's important to you and you'll move in that direction. And that might be the most important thing out of all of this. Even if it's just, like I said, 15, 20, 30 minutes a day, that is your time when you are moving in the direction of what is important to you. That's a really critical time. For example, so this is getting off in the weeds just a little bit, so I'm researching something right now that is kind of private, so I'm actually not gonna share just a whole lot about it, but I'm researching something, specifically how breath and how we breathe affects a part of our autonomic nervous system, which is the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic being fight or flight, parasympathetic being rest and relaxation, things like that. And I learned something through that whole process that was completely opposite from what I had been told for years. And it has dramatically changed my life. Like, I'm not just saying that lightly. I'm saying like it has dramatically changed my life in how I deal with a very specific problem. And that's really cool. Like, I would not have found that otherwise. And so when I landed on this, it was like, whoa. Like I just discovered like a puzzle piece that no one is talking about. And this is a huge deal. And so I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I'm gonna spend time studying this, researching this, making sure this is accurate. Like, at first I didn't believe it. I was like, this can't be. And so yeah, 30 minutes a day, I would just dig into this, watch videos on it, read books about it, what's this do, what's that do, learn all the lingo and all the jargon and the technical terms and all this stuff. And it has very significantly affected the way I live my day-to-day life. And I wish I could share more about it, but I don't feel like this is the right place to do that. Sometime, yes, but right now I'm still like in the process of learning about it, and I'm actually enlisting some help of other people to run tests for me and see if this works for them as well, which I'm very, very excited about. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, and you will find those. You will latch onto those puzzle pieces here and there. They may be big or they may be small, but it is incredible when you find one. I hope you find some through this whole process. Another aspect of this is goals, like going in the right direction, becoming someone who's capable of achieving your goals. And so if your goals in the past haven't been successful, checking out this video here in the middle of the screen might be helpful in defining, oh, maybe I was doing this incorrectly, or maybe I should change this to have better results.